Good evening, everyone, and this is my analysis of the major commodities in the week commencing. It's now Sunday evening, the 1st of March 2020. So I'm starting off having a look at gold, and quite a bearish week. Last week broke through these previous highs looking for support. Now looks almost more like a weekly retracement back into the 1550 as well as 1500 level. This is a relatively good area for it to find support. So what I'll be looking for this week is to see if we get a nice little bullish candle that either of these support levels hold. I might compare that or overlay it against Fibonacci levels or pivot levels just to see if there's anything else that lines up there. Looking at the monthly candle, it's more of an indecision candle. Now obviously for a while originally I spoke about price coming back to retest the 1350 level. If that does happen at some point in the future from where we are now, that's perfectly acceptable to me. For the time being, I'm more of the impression that price is going to attempt to stay above 1500 and 1550. Silver, on the other hand, obviously just really unable to get past that level. It's just finding such strong resistance. Very bearish candle here, and so my first thing we're going to be looking for this week is see if we break the low of that and then find ourselves heading back down towards the next level at 1575. Copper also sitting at a historical level of support. You could just see it here, trying to stay where it is. But overall, that is certainly weaker than the previous two and potentially wants to head lower. Platinum, this is really going to be doing a retracement at some point. I'll be looking to see if it comes back up and produces a bearish setup against one of these levels of support and test it as resistance. Last month's bearish candle combined with a break lower, just showing that, generally speaking, these are looking a little bit more bearish across the board. Now, palladium, I've spoken about for a while, just saying how overextended it was on the monthly. This is a really interesting signal. So if we do break the low on the weekly time frame, we break the low of last week's candle, then my expectation is to see price heading back down towards 225 and 2000, back down into these moving averages here. And of course that means that this monthly retracement potentially comes into play. So for the time being, it just means that I'm incredibly cautious with buying opportunities. I really need to see that weekly candle reintroduce, that the bulls will return in the weekly candle. Alternatively, there might be some shorter term opportunities, meaning on the much lower time frames, 30 minutes or 1 hour if the rest of the conditions are there. But the daily charts have certainly broken their bullishness, and I need to see some stability return to those trends. Then having a look at oils, they were really nice and bearish. I didn't get any trades in on these. They've broken through historic support levels. So for now, it's going to be curious to me to see them head low again. I want to see a follow through. I want to see the low of last week's candle broken. But it has definitely breached these support levels and is looking more bearish than bullish. WTI, of course, and these again will do some retracements if they come back up to these levels during the week and then produce bearish candles. There may actually be shorting opportunities there, but I also note that they're coming down to these historic support levels. And generally speaking, they've been range bound for the most part, so bounces off these levels make sense to me, but at the same time, they are still looking increasingly bearish. So for the time being, I'm leaning towards the downside, and I'm just going to see how they react at these key levels and waiting for retracements as well. So potentially they'll be looking to head lower, test those levels, and if they do and they pull it back up, there may be some entry opportunities, swing trading opportunities to the downside. So like crude oil as well, I'd love for it to come back and retest this 50 level, this previous level of support, produce a nice little bearish opportunity there, shorting opportunity against these previous lows would be fantastic, as well as a nice round number and almost certainly a Fibonacci level. Then having a look at the digital commodities, Bitcoin as well. This is now in a daily downtrend, very much more likely a weekly retracement than anything else. A little bit of a bearish candle at this level of 10,000, finding some strong rejection. So if we break the low of that, that'll just confirm that 10,000 level is strong resistance for the time being. And then Ethereum, which has been the darling certainly of 2020 so far, that is a nice weekly retracement back into this level of support. So I'll be keeping an eye on this 190 level, 191 level, looking for price to test it. So potentially heading a little bit lower before finding support before then resuming or attempting to resume that uptrend. So for the time being, not put off it, but just incredibly cautious again, because there's this ability for it to head down first before ultimately turning around later in the week.